being here. It's an honor and a privilege. The one thing you left off the resume was I actually graduated from business school in 1998 with a good friend of mine that's back here as well, John Duncan, who's a good friend. It's good to have him here. Thanks everyone for being here. I, as you might imagine, am very excited about my dad's candidacy, and I hope that you are as well. The issues that we're facing as a nation are tremendous, and I think he is the right person at the right time that's bringing all the skills and the things that we need as a country to bring us forward. Before I jump into talking about him and what he's done, let me just tell you a few things about me. As Alex mentioned, I ran marketing for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I worked my dad's previous 2 campaigns. Every time I get a career going, my dad decides to run for something. And I always end up leaving my career to go and work for him. And this last time, I decided I'm done working on campaigns. It's taken too much of my time. It's interrupted my career twice. And we took this job in Los Angeles. And honestly, part of the reason to do it, I was leaving Reebok, and I loved my job there. And part of the reason to do it was, it was get me out of the campaign. and when we moved to Los Angeles with my wife and 3 children, we were enjoying things a lot there. I was working with some fantastic people, Tommy Lasorda and Vince Scully, and I was living my dream. And it became clear at some point after the season ended, the 2006 season ended, my dad was actually going to do this and he was going to run. And my wife and I had a heart-to-heart chat, and we said, what are we doing? This is the most important thing that's ever happened to us. How can we not get involved? So I, a few days later, went in and resigned my job at the Dodgers. We put our house up for sale, we sold it, and we moved back to Boston. We moved back in January and moved the kids out of school for the 2nd year in a row, right in the middle of school. And we did it because partially because I love my dad an awful lot, but really because I believe he's the right person at the right time. His track record, his experience in business and politics, in the public service sector, I think is unprecedented. Look at what he's done with his career. He is a problem solver. He is a leader. He's someone who knows how to get the job done. If you look at, and most of you know his background and his experience, and I'll touch on it just very briefly, and then tell a personal story or two, and then turn it over to you to ask any questions you've got. But if you look at what he's done with his track record, when he was at Bain Capital, he started up, I don't remember how many companies, but his average rate of return on those companies was 113%, which is a pretty decent average rate of return over a long period of time. Started companies like Staples, some other ones you might know, Sports Authority, Brookstone, was doing very, very well, and he got asked to go back and turn around the Olympics. And there was really no reason to do it. He was earning a good living where he was at Bain Capital, and didn't want to leave. He decided it was the right thing to do. When he went to the Olympics, and it's hard for us to remember at the time to think back 8 years ago, but they were in a serious crisis. They were, the city was, if not depressed, something close to it, because their leaders had basically, the leaders of this movement had let them down, and no new sponsors had signed up for over a year, and the budget deficit was over $300 million. And everyone thought, what are we going to do? They weren't even sure they were going to be able to put the games on. And he came in and did what he's always done time and time again, which is he brought in really fantastic people, surrounded himself with the best of the best, and set to work. And I'll never forget the stories people tell me of his first day at the Olympics. They had a board meeting and with all the big people from the Salt Lake organizing committee. And they were used to having these board meetings in the big hotel rooms. They would rent out nice places with the tinkling china. They didn't have the M&Ms in the trays like we got. They had the nice big spreads. And my dad, the first day he showed up, he said, no, we're not doing that. So they had the they had the meeting in the offices where they didn't have to pay any rent, and they showed up and had Domino's pizza. And it was, he charged everyone $1 a slice to have a piece. And it served notice to everyone, okay, there's a new sheriff in town, we're doing things a different way. And that's the way that slowly but surely he was able to turn around those Olympic Games and put on a fantastic games. With a $100 million surplus, I might add. Same thing when his next job was was governor of Massachusetts. When he got in there, it was a $3 billion budget deficit. Now, I know that in Washington, $3 billion is not a lot of money. In Massachusetts, that was a lot of money. And the Boston Globe wrote and said, it's irresponsible to do anything other than raise taxes. There's just no way around it. You have to raise taxes, because otherwise you'll have to cut services way too drastically. And my dad's philosophy was a little bit different. He thought that raising taxes was a bad thing. And he believed, and again, this will shock you here in this room, but he believed that there was probably a lot of waste and inefficiency in government that could be cut. And he set out to do that, and was able to find example after example of waste and inefficiency that he was able to cut out of the state budget. And he did that with, by the way, a legislature that was 85% Democratic, and was able to use the bully pulpit in the press, as well as just being able to make friends with the right members of the legislature, realize where support was going to come from, and get it done. My dad's the type of guy that gets things done. And I think America needs a strong leader, someone who's going to be able to articulate a vision. And you look at what his track record is. He's a strong, he has strong character, strong family. He believes in a strong military. He believes in a strong America. He believes in a strong economy. And he's gonna bring the skills and the policies and the vision that it takes to help our country get back on track where we need to be. Let me tell you a personal story about my dad that I think illustrates who he is and what type of president he'd be. I remember I was 16 years old and was fishing. My parents had a small house on Cape Cod, and I decided I was going to go fishing. And he had some company over from some people from Maine that were there. And I took the boat out. It was a small little red rowboat, and I dropped the anchor over and dropped the fishing line over. And about 45 minutes later, realized I had drifted quite a ways off from where I'd started. And I went to check on the anchor line and realized I had not attached the anchor to the front of the boat, which is, for those of you who are not sailors, that is not a good thing to do. So I basically just thrown the anchor over the front of the boat and lost it in the ocean somewhere. And so I rowed back to shore and brought the fish in to my dad and said, you know, I was proud of myself. I got the fish, and oh, by the way, I lost the anchor. He said, what do you mean you lost the anchor? And I explained what had happened. He said, well, go back out and find it. And I said, well, what do you mean go back out and find it? I can't. That's the Atlantic Ocean. It's out there somewhere underneath the water. And he said, well, no, go back out and find it. And I said something to the effect, you know, a lot of 16-year-olds might say, you know, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard, go find it yourself. And I kind of expected him to send me to my room and be done with it. And it was interesting. He, instead of doing that, he went and got his bathing suit on, took me down to the beach, we got in the rowboat together. He started teaching me about using fixed points on the shore and doing a grid pattern and all these different things. And we searched for this anchor. And 45 minutes later, we found it. I couldn't believe it. And I learned 3 important lessons that day. The first was that my dad's extraordinarily cheap. He's not above looking for 45 minutes for a $20 dinghy anchor. The second was that he honestly believes that there is not any challenge that can't be overcome with hard work, ingenuity, and a little bit of creativity. And he's shown that time and time again in business, the Olympics, as governor. You know, whether it's solving healthcare crisis, getting everyone insured in Massachusetts, or improving test scores in education, or whatever it is, he's shown time and time again that he knows how to get the job done. Third lesson I learned, and it took me a lot longer to learn it and realize it, was that my dad cared about me as a son, and he was willing to spend 45 minutes of his day, leave his friends back at the house, to come teach me those first 2 lessons. Lessons of A, you don't waste money, and B, that you can overcome anything and don't give up. And he's taught me that lesson. Every time in my life that I feel like there's something I can't do, I think back to that and I say, you know what, I don't think I can find that anchor either. I'm gonna do my best to get the job done. I love my dad an awful lot. I think he's a fantastic guy. In addition to that, I think he's a great leader. I think he'll make a great president. We're so excited to have your support. Thank you for being here. We would love to